ever worried that you might be the cool kid? You wear the latest fashions on top of all the trends. Or have you ever worried you were too much in the mainstream, always so generic, more normal than your friends? Well, we've devised a test to put to rest your fears. There's no need to panic if you lend us your ears. Tonight you can't sleep easy after all that you've heard, 'cause if you like the show, then you're probably a nerd. Oh, Canon, it's Canon, it's all. Tyler, Phil, and Boris. Oh, Canon, it's Canon, it's all in Canon.
It's Sunday. You know what that means. It's time for another new episode of the It's Canon podcast. The podcast where we talk about all things geek. The podcast where we talk about all things pop culture. The podcast where we talk about all things comic books, movies, toys, video games, books, Lego, anything and everything. And the best part of it all is that it's all in canon. On this week's show, we're going to be talking about Roblox. What the hell is it? And how it's helped a lot of parents during COVID lockdowns. We have tons of video game news, including what's going on with EA and FIFA. We're going to be talking about Outriders. We're also going to be dedicating some time to Stadia, as there's a lot going on there, including new games, their old boss, etc., etc. We're going to be talking about TV streaming numbers, and then, if time permits, we were going to give our spoiler-free impressions on Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I want everyone to know that we will have a special episode this Wednesday talking about both the Snyder Cut and Falcon and Winter Soldier. So today, spoiler-free chat on Falcon and Winter Soldier. Wednesday, everyone better be caught up because we're going to be talking about all things spoilers on both the Snyder Cut and Falcon and Winter Soldier. As always, I'm your host, I'm Boris, and this week I'm joined by Phil.
Hello, Mr. Boris and everybody out there. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good, I hope.
That's good. I feel the synergy this week. We both got white headphones on. I don't know what that means. We're both repping with style.
We both have white headphones. That's all it means.
That's pretty much it. But I feel like we're repping with style, yo.
Yep.
You be my peeps.
Yep, we're, we clearly own PS5s. That's what this means.
Yeah, pretty much, you know. That was when I bought these.
Yep, same here.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I bought a white mouse, too. I just feel like that's the trend in electronics right now.
Yep.
As they're making everything alternate color, white, and then pretty soon it'll all be black again. So.
Yep. And then neon. It's going to all be neon. So.
Neon, yeah.
Yep.
I feel like we haven't had a neon phase in a while.
Yeah, it's been like 30 years since we've had one. But,
yeah, that's about when I had a neon ski jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, during the the Parker Lewis Can Do years. Remember that show? From the early 90s, late 80s.
I identify it with Ross Reblagati or whatever, that Canadian snowboarder that got into all this shit because he had weed in his system. Right?
Funny story about
I had
him.
one of his coats.
Funny story about him and that story. So, the guy who writes our theme song, Kevin O'Leary, his father broke the news whether he was going to keep his gold medal or not. His father used to work for, I forget which Canadian newspaper, and I know Kevin's going to give me shit right now when he listens to this episode. I want to say the Star. Let's go with the Star, and I'm probably wrong, but
Yeah, well, it's one of those iconic. It's either going to be the Star, the Globe, or the Sun. So.
Yeah, but Kevin's dad broke the story, and the story is awesome because apparently no one was allowed into the meetings, obviously the IOC meetings, and he literally his source gave him a hand signal to say whether he's keeping his gold medal or not keeping his gold medal, and Kevin's dad wrote two stories. One, either he's keeping the gold medal, one, either he's losing it, and they kept the printers on. They kept the printers on, and just to get this story in. So that newspaper was the only newspaper in all of Canada that broke that story the next day.
fantastic. That was such an exciting time for Canada too, and to have it potentially marred and whatnot with all of that controversy. But I feel like it probably helped a lot, especially at the time, because people started talking more openly about marijuana and its use. And, we now live in a country where it's completely legal. So interesting. I don't know if that's linked, but I'm sure it sits in the consciousness of a lot of Canadians.
Yeah. And people around the world, right? Like they kind of now attribute marijuana getting high to Canada. So go figure. Anyways, like complete side story, but it's always something really cool that anytime they bring up Ross Rebliati, it's always like, hey, I know the guy whose dad broke the story.
Yeah, he was sponsored by Nike at the time, and like they had these winter coats that are like Cordura and armored stuff, and they were like $900 back in the day, and they have a Nike outlet near me. I went up to there and they had it on for $200, so I grabbed it. So it's like fluorescent green and black.
Yeah.
So that's my entry point into this neon talk that became cannabis.
You know who could use a neon shirt right now?
Who?
Our beloved TFC.
Oh gosh.
Those new shirts, eh?
I bought one. I just don't know, man. I just don't know. Like,
of course you did.
I think this is... Well, I always buy a kit. There's only one kit I don't have, which was the really plain white V-neck one.
Yeah.
But every other kit I've got, and some are worn and some are never touched again. I fear this may be the one red one that I'm not really that fond of. I honestly can't even stand last year's. It looked good in the pictures, but when I put it on, I look like a checkerboard.
Yeah.
It's just lines and I fear this is the same thing.
It looks
and
yeah,
it's expensive as shit too.
$160.
Even with our 15% off, I just barely nudged under like 152 or something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, the soccer shirts, especially like MLS, like you would think that you want to bring down the price a little more, because that way you can probably get more people buying MLS shirts than, Manchester United, Liverpool, blah, 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 and we can actually represent the teams in our continent. But no, that's not the way that marketing works here in North America.
And they are nice jerseys. Like, I will give MLS credit with Adidas, their partnership, because they're a full year ahead of where the European shirts get to. So they try stuff out with us, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So the technology and the wicking and the thickness of the shirts and everything is really cutting edge. It is deceiving, though, when you go to Real Sports. Like, they send you this email and they go, you can get your kit now, just check it out. And you go to follow the link, and the link is just, if you're not careful, you're buying a replica.
Yeah.
And I just don't dig on replicas if I don't, like, they're not the same. They're thick. They have the badge sewn on instead of ironed on, and, the super thin and textured badges and whatnot. And I like to have I know it sounds dumb, but all the advertisers on it, like GE on the shoulder, stuff like that. I think if you're going to spend that much money, like, why buy a replica at $130 when it's $150 for an authentic?
I haven't been able to comfortably wear a soccer jersey in a really long time, because they fit me, but I just don't feel comfortable with them because they're skin fucking tight. And a bigger guy like me, I gotta be a little fucking careful sometimes. Like, I just don't feel comfortable in them. Now that I'm losing weight and I got this new svelte body, maybe, but no, for the past many years.
Getting there, buddy.
Yeah, it's been interesting. And you know what the funny part is? I'm doing nothing different. Like, okay, that's a total lie. But in terms of what I eat, how much I eat, in terms of all that fun stuff, it's nothing different.
Yeah.
What it is, I finally have a schedule. I'm not eating at midnight. I'm not eating at 10 p.m. Between the hours of 11 a.m. and 6 p.m., that's when I'll have my 2 meals. And then basically between the hours of 6 p.m. and 11 a.m., it's water, if at all.
Yeah. No, it's that schedule, right? And I've packed on the weight. I've actually gone up a size. So I always have to make sure with these jerseys I buy definitely a size bigger because they say, they're slim fit. Like they are cozy in the spots that sometimes you don't want them to be cozy in.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's it's always difficult too doing it by mail order. Normally you'd be at the stadium putting it on and saying, yeah, this is the one. This is the one. I feel it. And then, you buy it and now it's like, well, I hope it fits.
Yeah.
The past 2 years.
Yeah. So I got to ask you because there's a lot of rumors going around about what's actually going on with BMO Field this year. And a lot of it obviously depends on vaccination numbers and borders opening. But would you go back to BMO this year?
I'd really have to think long and hard about that. I would love to. I would love to have the world back to normal. I really would. Like even today, I was telling Boris that I'm making some sauce or something that I watched on TV, and I had to go up to No Frills, and I picked up some quick food because it's the closest grocery store to me, and I just walked up to a cashier, like it was the before times, and then I hear this guy behind me going, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm sorry, like there's a lineup. I had been down that aisle before where they line up and it looked like it was empty. So I thought I was clear and I didn't really check. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot COVID. Like it just felt like, and I just feel more and more that that's something that's in me that I'm just like, okay, I'm tired of the pandemic, just like everybody else is. I'm tired of lockdowns. I'm tired of all this stuff. And yeah, I'd love to go back, but I think I'd really have to look at am I vaccinated? Is there going to be social distancing? Everything. Like it would all have to be in totality. Like would I go back for a single game if I knew that it was a quarter capacity? Maybe.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at 70% capacity, no fucking way.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. Like we've made it a year without getting COVID. I want to kind of keep that up right now. At this point, if I if I get COVID, I would feel like an idiot. I did a year of all this for nothing. Just because it doesn't fit your narrative, because you're upset, because you're angry, blah, 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 doesn't take away from the fact that COVID is still out there. The numbers are still going up because I know a lot of people, I know as a fact, even within my social circles, people are starting to, do stuff that they're not supposed to. Even this weekend, for example, here in the Greater Toronto area, in Peel and Toronto, so like the downtown core and the wannabe Toronto of Mississauga and Brampton, they've finally opened up for patio season. And the rules are social distancing, 25% capacity, maximum 5 people of the same house. Who's going to follow that?
And the numbers are creeping up, and we have to remember as well, the numbers are 2 weeks back, right?
Yep.
So the numbers, in fact, are higher. Like we can guarantee that as they sit today. And these variants are concerned, right? All this stuff combined with an opening and spring. I drove down the street yesterday from a quick trip up to, I know I sound like I live at the grocery store, but I actually had to do my weekly groceries. Today was a special trip for items. But driving back, I saw all kinds of people walking on the street. The weather's great out there. None of them had masks. There were groups of 10 and more. So I'm pretty sure they weren't in one household. You know what I mean? And they're just out having a good time.
Yep.
And on one side of me, it says, hey, more power to you. I get it. But another part of me says, oh, man, this isn't going to end well for a lot of people. Like this is a really dangerous situation that's going to get more and more dangerous. And the thing that I don't understand is I live in a zone where they allow eating in. Mm-hmm. And that's what drives me nuts because your servers could be affected. It's needless. Get the food to go. You don't need to go to the keg if 10 people inside the keg eating or whatever. You're putting your servers in danger. You're putting everybody because the server gets it, doesn't know they have it. Then the next people they serve potentially get it. And the next people and the next people. Like you're looking at an outbreak in Oakville, I think, of over 200 people in a steakhouse.
Yep.
Because they got served because they were sitting there.
Yep.
And I'm like,
And the
it doesn't make sense. Like, get it to go.
And this is where like the government rollout of the vaccination just doesn't make sense. And this is why like I understand where people become COVID deniers, because just because the government screws up in a lot of things and how they've handled lockdowns, how they've handled funding, how they've tried to keep small businesses closed as opposed to large box stores. Now you have the issue where your servers aren't in line to get vaccinated until way down the road. Shouldn't they be higher on the list?
Yeah, I honestly, and it's just such a travesty about the order and how it's being done by region instead of provincially mandated or even federally mandated. It's just maddening. Like I think that there should be people who have underlying conditions like chronic lifelong diseases and whatnot. If you're going through cancer treatment or whatnot, you should be front of the line, in my opinion. Like it shouldn't matter about age or anything. I'm telling you, like, to me, you got to triage this. Like, yes, the older people. Yes, people with underlying conditions. You know, like, get the most susceptible and the people who are in those jobs, like a server, like a grocery store clerk. Any of these people, regardless of age, they're having to risk their lives to do their job.
Yep.
And that's not right. You know, like, I know with my work, we can work remotely. Great.
Yep.
You know, I have way less risk in my life. But if I'm working at the local Metro or No Frills or something, and I'm just a kid trying to make it, oh man, that's a tough go, especially with this pandemic.
Exactly. Let's cut your extra pay. Let's put you down the line and getting vaccinated. Yeah. It's like, it's just a shit show. Anyways, that's enough of that.
That's our social political commentary.
Exactly. So Phil, what have you been up to this week?
You know what? It was a week, that's for sure. Snowpiercer, I'm starting to fall off on that show again. I'm not loving the episodes. Like I really like that Melanie one. I don't understand why you go out and you get Jennifer Connelly and then cut her out for the season. Like that's a tough call, but she's definitely, I find her character is very interesting and compelling, and she holds the show together. And it really is fraying apart for me interest-wise again, but I'm hoping it pulls me back in. Resident Alien, I actually haven't caught up on that one yet, but I will shortly because there was just a lot this week. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like we talked about, and the Justice League, the Snyder Cut, is 4 hours of my life right there. I'm not going to say I want it back or anything. I'm not going to ruin it for anybody. But it is 4 hours. It's an investment. Like that's a couple nights of solid watch. Raya and the Last Dragon. Been watching a bit of that. The Stand is on Amazon Prime here in Canada.
Yep.
I started watching that. I read the book years and years ago. It's creepy as shit with this pandemic. Again, it comes back to that. Started giving me the creepies. So my fallback, everybody, is comic book men. I have to go to where the comedy is and get my geek on. It's between that or even I was watching a little bit of Dogma because hey, why not have a shit demon in it? You know?
I'm assuming you were watching the DVD.
My friend has it on his Plex.
Right. Yeah.
So I fired it up there, but I do have the DVD. It is done up like a Bible.
Yeah.
It is a great. I've even ordered a Got Christ shirt.
Yep.
So I'm really gonna piss my 82-year-old dad off.
Love it.
So I'm engineering all kinds of rage, and that's what I do for entertainment. So
I love it. Love it.
Let's see the reaction now.
Yeah.
I should record it with my cell phone or something.
Yeah.
Be the Tom Green of podcasting here.
Yeah.
What have you been up to, buddy?
What have I been up to? I'm so behind on Snowpiercer. I'm 2 episodes behind, maybe even 3. I don't remember. The last episode I watched was the Melanie episode. So whenever that was.
Yeah. Be prepared.
Yeah, I know. I've been told. My friend, she keeps telling me, I don't know. What else?
This week was a big step back, man. Oh.
Damn. This week I've finished New Amsterdam. There's only 2 seasons out in Netflix because they're on season 3 now. Started watching this new Spanish show called Sky Rojo, Red Sky, Sky Red, and it's made by the same creators as Money Heist. So, if you like that show, it's very similar in style, very similar in tone. Basically, it is about these brothel workers, if you know what I mean, who are on the run from their pimps. So, yeah, pretty fun show. Very short. Each episode is about a half an hour, 8 episodes. I finished half the season yesterday. I just flew by the episodes. So I'm going to probably finish watching the other ones maybe tomorrow, because tonight I have some other work to do. But this whole week is going to be crazy because I have a conference, a user conference. So I'm going to have to be in front of the camera doing presentations and stuff all week. So, yeah, that's pretty much
pimp
all I
life,
watched.
y'all. You're living the pimp life.
Pretty much. It's weird. But yeah, it's, I've been so busy, to be honest. But yet, I feel like I've done nothing at the end of the day,
Oh my gosh. You know what yesterday was? The 1-year anniversary of Animal Crossing.
And Doom Eternal.
Yeah, but get this.
All right, what's up?
I played it, and I don't know if I ever want to play it again.
I could have told you that a year ago.
I hit my commitment of playing it every day for a year. 310 hours is my total playtime. By far, my most played Nintendo Switch video game. And I don't know. There are parts that I'm going to miss. And then there's things I'm never going to miss.
Yeah.
And I might have to drop in once in a while just to see how my little guys are doing. And I might go chaotic. And I even debated last night about possibly starting a new island and seeing what that experience is like. But I think that would be frustrating because it takes so long to build up in that game. It really does. And I deliberately took a slow burn approach. So Animal Crossing's fare thee well. I will be taking a break.
There you go.
Thank you for your pandemic entertainment and letting me have all of your characters use words like stinky tips and camel toe licka. So I got my entertainment out of you, and I still don't have an orange or a peach. So fuck you, Animal Crossing.
I love it. Could have told you this was going to happen a year ago, but it is what it is. What was I going to say? There was something I was going to say, and I completely forgot. I guess it's not important.
Doom Eternal?
Nah, had nothing to do with that.
That was a big patch it downloaded this week.
Yeah.
I think it got content because I think when I buy them digitally, I buy that really super expensive one, and then I'm like, hey, that game's re-downloading. No, it's a patch.
Jeez. Only if there was a way that you could play a game without having to download anything.
Oh, Stadia. Woot.
All right, so shall we get started on our with our stuff? Our weekly.
Let's get going, man. Let's do the ranting and the raving and the talking and the stuff.
Yep. All right, so before we get started, we will be talking about Justice League, the Snyder Cut, Zack Snyder's Justice League on Wednesday. We have takes. We have hot takes. But I know it's 4 hours, and I want people to watch it. And then we can talk about it because it's going to be full-blown spoilery. And we're also going to take that episode to talk about full-blown spoilers of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Now, just so our audience knows, I know in the past, when we talk about shows, like let's say The Mandalorian, and The Mandalorian's 45 minutes, and we take 2 hours to talk the fuck out of it, we will not be doing an 8-hour podcast.
Nope.
This will not be in slow motion for half of it. All right, we're going to avoid what Zack Snyder did in some cases. It will be a quicker discussion.
Very much.
It'll be Flash style. Style.
Exactly. It's going to be something for sure. But yeah, because I know I have a lot of people asking even on my personal Facebook page, whether we're going to be talking about it. So yes, we will. So we'll dedicate a whole episode to that on Wednesday, and we're going to talk about Falcon Winter Soldier then. But we're going to kind of give some highlights overview today if there is time at the end. So we're going to start off with Roblox. Have you heard of this thing? Yeah. Roblox, Phil?
Yeah, I hear it about kids using it. I think it's something similar to Minecraft. I know I saw this story last week. I didn't bring it up. But the parent company, I'm pretty sure, sold, like they went for, they put themselves out on the stock market, did they not?
Yes, they did. So, the children's digital game Roblox launched on the New York Stock Exchange last week. The company's share price rapidly just took off. By the end of the day, it was valued at $38 billion.
Billies. That's a lot of money.
Billion. All right. So, Roblox, it's been around since 2004, but because of this little thing called Minecraft, a lot of people didn't really hear about it, but it's very similar where you create worlds, But there's more to Roblox than in Minecraft. In Roblox, you can actually create games. So, it gives you a developer package and an editor, and if you know programming, you can create full games, full worlds, full everything. So there's so many extensions to this Roblox thing. Now, in 2020, Roblox had 32.6 million daily active users, playing for an average of 2.6 hours per day across PCs, gaming consoles, and mobile devices. For comparison, Fortnite has only 25 million active daily users. Put that into perspective.
Yeah. It's crazy. Apparently, if you have a kid between like ages 7 to 14, they are obsessive about this thing. Like it's a parent's dream in terms of give them a tablet and just go play Roblox.
Yep.
And away they go.
So as I mentioned earlier, Roblox Studio, anyone can create virtual worlds and games that can easily be released on the Roblox platform instantly, becoming available to millions of players. The user-created content can then be played by other players. Roblox has an embedded system for making small purchases within the platform, and creators receive 30% of the revenue. In 2020, Roblox paid out $328.7 million to users. So,
wow.
Isn't it? It's brilliant when you think about it, right? Some creators earned as much as $50,000 per month. According to Roblox, there was more than 300 creators who earned over $100,000 in 2020. So, why is this important for children? So, this is what parents need to know. If you have a child, let's say 7 to 14 years old, badgering you about joining their friends in Roblox, what do you need to know? If they're interested in programming, Roblox can be a great way to get started. It has relatively simple code editor, as I mentioned earlier, and children as young as 8 or 9 can learn how to develop their own games with tons of courses available on the internet for kids, parents, teachers. However, there's always that however, the openness, it's a little too open sometimes. So, as anything popular, people are going to take advantage of it. So there is a chance your child could encounter troubling content. There have been reports of sexually explicit games with themes that parents might not want their children exposed to. So there are things that your you as the parent can do to create a safe online and playing environment. Roblox provides information on its website about how to limit chat functions, report problems. Parents should also know certain games allow trading of in-game items, including ones purchased with real money. So this all has the e-safety stuff. So there's a lot of parental controls, but it's an open world. You still got to parent. Parents got to parent at some point, right? Yeah. But you know, if you have a child who is interested in video games, who's interested in this kind of stuff, this is a perfect introduction to programming for them. And I love the idea of this.
Yeah, it's getting somebody trained up for a career early on. Like you can definitely find out if there's an interest there in your kid for programming, because that is a future career possibly. It's interesting that it's got its own economy and everything too. Like I'm seeing games come up on Stadia and whatnot, like called the Crata or something like that, where you can create your own games.
Yep.
And there's also been another one I think called Dreams or something like that on the PS4. And it's interesting, like this whole idea that you can create your own game and then digitally share it with other people. So then you can see the top games and the newest games and all this kind of stuff. And they're all made within the game.
Yep.
And they can be very different than what that game presents itself as. So people can be very, very creative. It's almost like learning how to program in the Unreal Engine, for example. There's a whole bunch of games that I see and I go, oh, wow, the graphics are really cool or different. And then I find out it's made in Unreal. So I'm like, oh, shit. Like, it doesn't all have to look like Gears of War.
Yeah.
It doesn't all have to look like XYZ. This is a very versatile engine, and really it's the creators that give it definition. So I find stuff like that, like, good for them that they went public and they've commanded the recognition that they probably deserve. I thought it was maybe overvalued, but hearing this backstory really makes me think, like, oh man, like maybe there's a lot more to this than I thought. Like,
Yeah,
it
this
really
actually
isn't
got me thinking
bullshit.
more about, like you just brought up Unreal Engine, but Unreal Engine, you kind of have to know a little more development to get going. But with this developer studio, it sounds like, if they're promoting it to kids 8 or 9 years old to 14, then it's got to be easy enough. And I think this is a great way not only to entertain your children with video games, but it allows that creativity that a lot of children have been missing since, the lockdowns and COVID has started. I'm not saying that this is going to take away from human interaction, but it's for sure something that will allow their creativity to kind of get loose. Parents are trying to come up with new and interesting ways to get children to be creative, to get them out there, to get them interacting. And I think this is a great way to not only educate your children, keep them entertained, but it also gives them a trade that, in my opinion, is going to be vital for any job down the road. I think that at some point, you're going to need to know some form of programming no matter what you do. Even if you're a secretary in an office, even if you are or an in-person, it doesn't matter. You're going to need to know some form of programming in some shape, way, or form.
Yeah, it's all logic-based, right? So the more you learn about how things work and routines and flow charts and things like that, like all these fundamentals in how you assemble stuff in programming are translatable to almost any position out there. And yeah, that's like the most expanding area of my work, I think, is the dev end of it. Right. Yeah. So I see that as, you're right, it's a key to the future. And you know what? It's been going strong before the pandemic. The pandemic probably helped it out even more. But it's just like Lego. This week, I think they released for the VIPs, the Winnie the Pooh set. And I was thinking about grabbing that. It's already sold out before one day.
Wow.
Like, that really is a toy. Like, there is literally, I can't buy the Lego sets I want to buy on Lego.com because they're sold out.
Wow.
I can't get the Moss Eisley. It hasn't been in stock for 6 months now. I can't get that Winnie the Pooh. I can't get the bonsai tree. It's sold out. I can't get the police station. It's sold out. Like, there's nothing, like, everything that I would find desirable is gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no date on when it's coming back. Like, literally, they're now stocking the Star Wars set with the Clone Troopers, the 501st, that all the fans petitioned to get going. It was sold out for easily 6 months. You couldn't even get your hands on it. And it's a $40 a set. Like, it's not cheap.
That is crazy.
So I always equate that to things like Roblox and whatnot. Like, anything where you're creative at home is popular right now. Like, when you can build with Lego or build on a computer game. And I guess that's computer games in general too, right? Like, we talk about the PS5, we talk about other systems. And yeah, all that shit is so popular. Like, I can only imagine the sales numbers for 2020 and 2021 with all of this COVID and social phobia out there.
Yep, I agree. So yeah, so if you have children, let us know if your kids play Roblox. Like, I'm very interested to learn more about this. Like, I heard of it, like I hear of Minecraft, but I didn't really know what the difference was until I actually started doing some more research on the subject when it came up. Because when I saw the valuation, I'm like, what's the deal here? What's going on there? What makes us different from Minecraft? What makes us different from other stuff, right? So yeah, now I know. People can make money.
Maybe we need to play some Roblox, Boris.
I know. I feel like we're missing out on a lot.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. Like, I'll take a look into it and see how accessible it is and whatnot. Like, what the charges are. And I think it's on Switch. I'm not sure if it's on PlayStation, but I'm sure it must be. And I just never seen it before.
I've never. It could be literally in front of me right now, and I wouldn't be able to tell you, right? Like,
I tried so hard to play Minecraft years ago. Like, that was one of my early discs for the PS4.
Yeah,
was Minecraft, because I'm like, well, this shit's blowing up. I got to get on the Minecraft train. And I'm like, the fuck is this? Like,
yeah.
I just could not get the hang of that game. And then the nighttime comes, and these zombie things are after me, and I'm just barricading myself into a place and crying into my lap in a corner. It was just too much, man. I'm like, kids play this a lot.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the Minecraft stories. But
yeah, my nephew was really into it for a little bit. Built some really cool stuff. Like, he's very creative in art and whatnot, and he did some really cool stuff with that. My other nephew, I don't think he's been exposed to Minecraft just yet, and I don't know how creative he is. I know he likes destroying things, but I don't know how creative he is. He likes everything's a boss battle to him. He always talks about boss battles. It's hilarious.
Hey,
but yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that, man.
Oh, not at all.
Nothing wrong with that.
Life is being an adult is a never-ending boss battle.
That's a well-calibrated kid to know the boss battles. I'm telling you. You got him doing some 2D platforming there, buddy.
Exactly. And then my friend's daughter loves Minecraft, so much so that my friend bought her the PlayStation 4 VR.
Wow. Just a Minecraft out and that.
Yep.
Cool. I respect the shit out of anybody who's able to create something in it. It's not easy for guys like me, especially. I think it would be easier on the computer than it is with a controller, but yeah, man, it's crazy shit for this old and feeble brain.
I know, right? It's kind of funny how that works. But all right, so we're gonna move on. We're going to start talking about other video games, more video game news. We're done with Roblox. We're going to move on to Outriders. Phil, should someone cancel their Outriders pre-purchase?
This is interesting because last week I told you guys in the chat that it looks like Outriders is going to be going to Xbox Game Pass just because of a message that Xbox had put out to somebody, and the words used were very, very much indicating. But this is all just 2 and 2. This isn't directly putting it out there. And you guys kind of responded to me and said, that's a bit of a reach, but okay, let's see what happens. Right? Because, yeah, it was. But I know Xbox have done cryptic shit like this in the past. And then it turns out this week they come out and they make the announcement, which is really good of them because I didn't put any money down on a pre-order, so I don't have any quandary about doing it. But I think that people should be allowed, like, first of all, I think it's fair to say, and with this game it's a bit different because they've had a demo going for like a full month of them trying to get the server capacity and game dynamics right. So I do feel that we're getting to try before we buy. But by and large, we got to stop pre-ordering video games. Because what they're delivering is not what they're promising in many, many cases, right? And then it just then it becomes a complaint fest online and a dumping ground. Yep. You can just ask CD Projekt Red about what that's like. And we got to stop feeding that beast. And I think you should buy your game. There's no digital shortages. You should just buy your game on the day it releases for the platform that you like. And then if you have an Xbox and you have Game Pass and you get Outriders for free, play the shit out of it while it's free. And then maybe it's 3 months or 4 months or 6 months before it goes to a paid, back to taken out of rotation. And you have to buy it if you want to play it. Then you just wait for a sale and pick it up. Like, it'll go down to $39.99, I guarantee you, in 3 months.
Yeah.
And you pick it up, and then you don't have to worry about, is it on Game Pass or not? If you love the game that much and you're putting the time into it, that's when you buy it. It's a really simple equation to me. But there seems to be backlash online. I've been people are like sitting there saying, well, that's a shitty strategy and all that. And I'm like, hey, I'm a consumer. I don't have to waste my money. If I know, like, I never buy FIFA the weekend it comes out because I'm not a chump. I'm not going to spend $79.99 to play virtual soccer. I'm going to wait until Black Friday, 2 months after it releases, and it's always drops down to $39.99. Hey, that's an acceptable price. I even rebought the frickin' game on Stadia this week because it was $32, and it's the first weekend that's on Stadia, and I wanted to experiment with it.
Yeah.
Because the PS5 version of that game is vastly different than the PS4 version. There's no more loading screens. There's no more playing those little wonky games, which are fun. But those little dribbling games and shooting and all that kind of stuff, the skill games, they don't come up on the load screen because that freaking hard drive is super fast. And from what I can see on Stadia, it's the same thing. So Stadia really is competing with the big boys.
Good. When they want to and they can, right? Like, that's a whole other issue we're going to get to in a little bit. But,
but
here's
Outriders,
the thing. Outriders, video gamers are notorious for wanting something first. I don't know why. Whether it's they want to complain about it first, they want the badge of honor saying, I played it first. I don't know what it is, but video gamers are notorious for wanting something yesterday. So I can see why this strategy doesn't work for them. But at the same time, there's different levels of gamers. Like, there's the casual. We have to remember, you and I are not casuals in that sense. We sometimes are, but yeah, it's overall, we play things first. We want things first because we want to talk about it on the show. So again, it's kind of like a badge of honor even for us in that sense. But just like you said, for certain games, like the sports games, I don't buy them at release anymore because just like you said, within a month or two, they're going to be on sale. In fact, when I buy all my sports games? Black Friday, because they're on sale for $39.99 or $40, whatever, whatever price. So anyways,
way to go.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where, it's, video gamers, this is kind of their own issue. And they have to remember that there's other people involved in this equation. In fact, it's those people that they're trying to get into more games. It's those people who would casually spend money that they want to, hook, line, and center right now, right? So I think that it's really important for hardcore gamers to remember that everything is not made for them. It's a huge industry with many people.
Yeah, well, we ran into this all the time when I played World of Warcraft. Because I was on that razor edge of, do I want to raid or not? Right? Because I knew that there was a whole part of the game that I wasn't experiencing. And I remember the raid guys are like, oh man, it's lifestyle. If you want to join the raids, you got to be online like 20 of 24 hours a day. You have to do this and you have to eat the shit to get up into the drop zones so you get eligibility at certain things. All that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, that's not for me. But they were so resentful of the fact that people like me were playing the game.
Yeah.
Right? Like that I had found a way to play it that made me happy. Yeah. That didn't involve raiding for the elite loot, so to speak. I was just like, I'm happy with these armor this shoulder armor that I got out of a small little dungeon thing.
This is why I stopped playing League of Legends really quick. I played hardcore for about a year, but I'm not gonna fucking get yelled at by Jomo Bro from God knows where just because I didn't, do exactly as you're supposed to do. Like, tranquilo,
Yeah.
people. Like, it's too much sometimes. So you have a very toxic fandom and culture, and there, in my opinion, there's nothing worse than the League of Legends fandom.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, like a lot of video games are like that. It's why I won't play Fortnite. It's why I won't play, even Call of Duty.
Yep.
Anything like that. The majority of my games, if I play online, I'm playing with my friends, and we're playing co-op.
Yep.
Those are the criteria. So Borderlands 3 is our perfect type of game. Borderlands 2, Borderlands 1, 2, 3, all that kind of stuff, because it's just us, common goal, and we're shooting the shit while we're playing. It's just fun. Division 1, Division 2. Again, co-op. We're not trying to kill each other. We're trying to achieve a common goal. And that's, sadly, video games like Outriders looks like it could be fun. But I have to see, I'm really appreciative that it's going to be free on Xbox Game Pass, because I have to see what the dynamic is online. Like, is it all online and everybody that I'm playing with, or is there a sealed off campaign? I have a lot of questions about what the actual gameplay is going to be when it comes to the social aspects.
Here's my thing. When I see Outriders, I see no difference between that and Apex Legends. So why am I going to spend money on Outriders when I can just play Apex Legends for free?
Well, I can tell you this about Outriders. I have played the demo on the PS4/5. And it's very much because it's the crew that used to make Gears of War.
Yeah.
For Epic, right? And they sold it to Microsoft. Microsoft does it now. But they did Bulletstorm in the past, as People Can Fly Division. They did Bulletstorm, which I had a lot of fun with that game. I like that it's kind of similar to that third person Gears thing. Dodging for cover, and it's a new story. And I'm curious to know where that part of it goes. But if it's just going to be an Apex Legends, you're right, an Apex Legends that charges, I'm out. But I've got no skin in the game.
Yeah.
With Game Pass, like that's the thing. I don't feel compelled to get it day one on Stadia, PS5, whatever. I got no skin in the game. I can just play it, and if I don't like it, then nothing. I don't care. Delete. Like, that's that simple. I love that about it. Yep. I love that Game Pass is the Netflix of video gaming.
Exactly.
There's shit that I try on that I have no business trying. No business whatsoever. And I have fun with it. I'm just like, hey, I get to talk about it on the show or whatever, my experience with a video game, whatever it is. Like Outer Worlds, I have that. That's a game that typically I might like. I'm on the edge about it because it's kind of Fallout-ish, because it's made by Obsidian, the guys who did New Vegas. But I'm like, hey, you know what? I got it for free. I'm still playing it for free. It's been a year, and that game's on Game Pass nonstop. It doesn't get revoked. And then you look at all the Bethesda titles that are now under Microsoft that got released. Microsoft are killing it this month with this Game Pass. Just freaking, like, they are fucking killing it right now.
Yeah.
So exactly. Good for them. Like, it's a lot of games that they
Sony's got to pick it up because they do have PS Now. People always forget. We always talk about Game Pass, but they do have PS Now, and it is good. Like, they do have pretty good games on it, and it's only $12.99 a month. It's kind of pricey for what you get at the end of the day, but it works. It works really well, and your internet doesn't even need to be the best to play. Like, I've played it on shitty internet, like, 10 megs per second.
Yeah, because typically these game services, like even Microsoft's Game Pass for cloud, it's only streaming at like 720p.
Yeah.
That type of thing, because they're using the old Xboxes. But
also,
it
these
works,
games are typically not PS4 games that I would play on that.
Yeah.
There's that.
I looked at it the other night. There's a 25% off sale. You can get a year of PS Now for $59.99.
I should
Canadian.
Cancel mine and buy that instead. Anyways.
Yeah, you should, because that's on sale right now. But I look at the titles and I'm not enticed. I have most of those titles, or if I don't really want them. That's the difference. I have a really heavy investment in Sony's catalog.
Yep.
Whereas Xbox, it's a little bit lighter. They
Yeah.
took a totally different approach. So
Yeah.
I think next month for Sony, they're upping free games right now for the pandemic stuff, just like they did last year. And next month's free game is going to be Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yep.
The Ultimate Edition. So all of the add-on packages, everything. So that's all the DLC. So that I'm not buying any DLC. I haven't bought any for that game. I'm definitely not buying it now because they're going to be ramping up for the sequel to come out for the PS5.
Yep.
So it's well done, Sony. Like they are starting to react.
Yeah. But
it's just they got to up their streaming game.
yeah, they have a lot to do. It's an uphill battle for them. But it's there. They have the technology. Let's hope that they can get the right titles, especially with their, and I'm not too concerned about their exclusive titles. It's kind of getting other publishers on board, right? Anyways, So what is our biggest beef with FIFA and any EA game?
It would be the loot boxes. Is it not?
Yep. And, it was just a matter of time for some shady stuff to happen internally at EA with these loot boxes and their FIFA Ultimate Team cards, right?
Yep. I know where you're going with this one.
Yep. Exactly. Hashtag EA Gate. I'm assuming you've heard of what's going on. I'm sure some of our listeners have, especially those listeners who know us from the Red Patch Boys and the soccer world. EA Gate, it's a thing. It's going on Twitter. So basically, earlier this month, the scandal broke, where there was unconfirmed direct messages show that what appeared to be an EA employee or employees selling the game's rarest cards and packages, priced $750 to £1,000. And essentially they're selling it on the quote unquote black market.
Yep. It's there is some private messages shown that show people prearranging to purchase certain cards or certain packs. And the reference is that they had somebody on the inside.
Yep.
Maybe more than one.
And
yeah, so shockingly, this is very similar to Sneakergate,
yes,
which happened to Nike, where an executive's son was running a sneaker empire. He even rented a warehouse for the sneakers that he had.
Yep.
And she resigned when she found out that there was this conflict of interest and claimed that she had not assisted her son. But man, oh man, did that ever stink to high hell. And this is on the same heels of that. Like, it certainly looks like there's something going on inside of EA. That the funny thing is, I have FIFA 21, 20, 19, 18, all the way back to probably 94. I have all these games on the Sega Master System. And I've never once bought one of these fucking packs. And I never plan to. It's amazing that this whole culture exists. It's a huge moneymaker.
I never really realized how big this Ultimate Team stuff is. I buy FIFA to play the game, to play with my buddies online, to enjoy the game, the manager mode. I've never touched this stuff. I refuse to spend a cent. I don't even show up to get the free cards on the promotion, when we could get the Beckham stuff and all that, I don't give a shit about any of that. I just don't care. That's
I know,
me personally.
And that's the same as me. I get the biggest kick out of the fact that we have the Volta football in the last 2 years. So we can play some 3-on-3 or 5-on-5 soccer. You know what I mean? I like that shit. I like that it's fast paced and that there's not, it's like playing checkers versus chess when you're doing those quick, dirty games in Sao Paulo and stuff like this. You're going around the world, Paris and everything, and kicking the ball around and doing tricks and whatnot. I think that's just great. That's a great game mode along with all the other stuff. But this ultimate stuff, I can't believe how much money EA makes off of this. This is why, like, I was shocked because I was farting around with NHL, all right? I'm starting to get back into hockey a little bit. And I'm playing the NHL stuff. And I bought the EA Pass because I want to play it on my PS5. I want to play it on the better system than the Xbox that I have. So I'm farting around with that. And there's no PS5 version of NHL, but there's a PS5 version of FIFA 21, like day one. You know what I mean? Like the PS5 exists. Here's your version. It's such a huge game. Such a huge game. And they're in shit in a lot of countries too, the European countries, because they're calling loot boxes exactly what they are, and that is gambling. Right? It's there's no disguising the fact that they're basically letting kids gamble with their money or their parents' money by playing this loot box game. You know, I purchased something, I don't know what's inside. That sounds an awful lot like a slot machine to me. Like, I'm pulling the lever, I don't know what I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
It's just a crazy thing, man.
Yeah, and EA's faced a lot of criticism for Ultimate Teams and just in general, and EA, you know, with their microtransactions in video games, you know, Battlefront. Yeah, that was a huge one. You know, using real world to basically play the lottery. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what's going to happen. But this EA Gate is the first time that employees are involved in this. And I'm sure this isn't the first time this is happening. This is the first time that it's come to light. So, yeah. So EA is finally starting to talk about this. What they've said in a statement is, we have launched a rigorous investigation narrowing how this may have happened and identifying those accounts which have received content through this illicit method. Our initial investigation shows questionable activity involving a very small number of accounts and items. Although it is not a large number, if these allegations prove out, this activity is unacceptable. We will permanently ban any accounts identified as receiving items transferred nefariously, and we have suspended all discretionary content granting for an indefinite period. So basically, notice that they haven't said anything about the possibility of internal involvement here.
Hey, we're gonna go after the people that bought the shit, but we're gonna leave the people selling it, all right? Like, just weird. Reads weird, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, that company is so slippery, right? I remember a couple of years ago they got brought up in front of the European Union in some court battle about those packs, or maybe it was in England, and you know, basically the prosecution's like defining what gambling is. That they used all kinds of creative shit talk, like the slimiest executive talk you can imagine, where they're like, this is all just part of the game and we're just selling excitement. That's all we're doing is selling excitement, Boris. It's just great. And I'm like, oh, you guys, like, fuck right off. Seriously? Like, you're corrupting kids. You're taking money. You're charging $79.99 for the game. And then you're further exploiting people out of their money just on these little stupid packs and everything. Like, kids are spending thousands of bucks. You know, there's people that have spent over $30,000 credit card debt on trying to build these teams through these packs and whatnot. It's sickening to think that they're just out there enabling that, and that's their business model.
Yep.
It's no conscious, no morality about any of it. It's just pure greed, like shocking stuff. But we allow it. We buy into it. We participate in it. I'm happy that, like you say, the game's the game. I get to play my soccer. You know what my biggest thing is? I don't even play career mode. Yeah. I just play TFC versus whoever TFC have to play that week to get an idea of who the hell's on the bench on the other team.
There you go. Yeah, it's a shit show, man. EA's got to get their shit together. They got to figure something out. All right, so Stadia, what's going on with Stadia, Phil? You wanted to talk about Stadia. I know there's a couple things, the new studio, for example. Where do you want to start?
You know what, is an interesting week again. It seems like Stadia make the announcement about some video games coming this week, and FIFA being one of them, linking up to our last story. So it's finally live and whatnot. And naturally, when they drop this information, what's the first thing that Jade does? The former head of the Stadia gaming division that they fired or they terminated because they terminated the entire studio. She comes out and announces a new studio called Haven with PlayStation. Yep. So it just felt like that was just timed, and she's allowed to be bitter about it. I get it. Like, they lured her away from a pretty big position. She's one of the people who did a lot of work at Ubisoft, and was really a really big video game person. And whatever, so they go and they do that, but it just seems like Stadia just can't catch a break, man. It's whenever there's good news or whatever, there's a shit article that comes out deliberately slimeballing them. And it's just getting gross. It's just really getting gross. 9 to 5 Google did it this week.
Yep. They
released some article that basically was like, well, this is great, except it's on Stadia. Again, you don't sit there and say, oh yeah, they were saying that it's too bad Stadia's losing its exclusives. So what a shit show. But yet Sony have been losing exclusives all over the place. Like Horizon Zero Dawn is on the PC now. Did you write that same article about Sony and about how they're losing exclusivity on some of their titles because they're going to the computer and they're opening up to different markets? No, you sit there and you applaud that. You write articles about how great it's going to run on new hardware and blah, 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 blah. And then Stadia has it happen. Like Bomberman is going to all their platforms and things like that, where on Stadia, you can have up to 64 players in one of these online games and blah, blah. Like, it's stuff I don't do, but it was unique to Stadia. And then people are just slamming it in these articles. And yet there's more and more games coming for Stadia. There's more and more of these exclusive deals being signed. It's clear that Stadia have made a decision about how they're going to be conducting business going forward. And it's a mode of Stadia that's actually good for the customer. It's not about getting the exclusives. It's about getting as many titles onto the platform as possible. And it seems to be a long-term plan. Like, we're going into well beyond 2021, and we're starting to see the plan in 2022 and going forward. I'm just going to say it. Like, people have got to start accepting the fact that the future of video gaming is in the cloud. It 100%. Really is at this point. Like, and if you don't believe that, you gotta look. You really do. Nothing launches perfectly. Stadia definitely has its rough edges. And you know what? You look at GeForce Now, they're like doubling their price for their access as of this week. So these platforms are growing. And I'm telling you, it's not that different than the PS5. Like, we're talking very compatible, very compelling upgrades that are easily done to really get it to the graphical level. But I've been spoiled by Stadia. I really have. Having this PS5 sitting here is great. I love the PS5. I love the controller. There are tangible differences that I really enjoy. But I'm constantly shocked about how great of an experience Stadia can deliver. It's not perfect, but how great of an experience Stadia can deliver to me with minimal hardware. You don't even, at this point in time, Horace, you can pick up your controller, link it to your Chromecast through Bluetooth, put Stadia on your phone for free, download Destiny 2, and play everything for free in 4K.
Yeah.
As long as your internet, and you haven't spent a cent beyond owning a Chromecast.
Yep.
And a controller from another company.
Yep. You
can do it with Xbox. You can do it with PlayStation. You can do it anything. It's absolutely nuts on entry point.
And that I know that Stadia and Google have signed deals with TV manufacturers. So you know that very soon you're going to be getting a controller with every TV purchase. And boom, there you go. 6 months to a year of Stadia for free. No hardware needed. Boom, you're ready. You're set up. You can start playing Stadia. Like,
yeah,
this is it. This is the golden opportunity that they wanted. And say what you want, it's not Game Pass, but they're ahead of Game Pass in terms of the potential of market penetration. They're not there yet,
Yep.
but,
No.
you know, in terms of overall market availability, they have the heads up.
Yep. It's their race to lose at this point. I think GeForce has given them a good run for their money, but that's again a consumer. That's consumers win when there's competition like this. Consumers win. So I'm excited about where all of this is heading. I'm excited to see Microsoft's reaction with upgrading their back end to get xCloud going at a good clip. It's amazing to me how, again, another theme that we've uncovered, but how resistant the games journalism is to cloud gaming, how phobic they seem to be about this being the future, about not having a piece of hardware for $600 or $1,000 sitting in your living room and just being able to have an internet connection. It's the same as why we stream music. It's the same as why we stream TV. It's the same as why we have Netflix. It's all baked into the same idea, and it's coming for video games. And it's here. It's just a question of whether or not you want to use it.
Yep.
Acknowledge it. But I'm telling you, it's going to be coming no matter what. Like, the convenience, when I turn on my PS5, all right, I don't sleep it because I just don't believe in that. I just read horror stories all the time. So when I turn on my PS5, then boom, 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 I get 5 or 6 notifications of shit that's downloading to update. And I look at it and I go, oh man, this is going to take hours to get stuff in. Man, none of that exists on Stadia. Just turn it on and play. It empowers the gamer. It really is amazing. It empowers gaming for gamers. And no matter what level you are, no matter if you're casual dude who can only play 20 minutes a night in between stuff after work and before he goes to bed, or she, it's anybody can do it. Or you're this hardcore gamer that wants to game, 8 hours a day. You got nothing better to do and you're having fun and you're keeping out of trouble. So it serves all of that. Just an internet connection and a piece of hardware hooked up to a monitor or TV. Boom. Or you play on your phone or your tablet. Whatever you want. It's amazing to me that there's this much resistance to it. It's just flabbergasting. And the community's getting damaged. The community's getting damaged as a result. It's becoming butthurt. It's becoming like the old hostage situation or whatever. They're starting to really backbite on each other and on other services and things like that, and it's not healthy. I'm worried about that community and its fragility when it comes to this, because you try to be supportive and you try to make sure that everybody's just putting out the right message or enjoying as much as they can. But it really starts wearing on people, all the negativity and hate directed at Google all the time.
Oh, yeah. You can only take so much negativity before you're like, fuck it, I give up. You can only be the voice of reason for so long before you say, fuck it, I give up. So this is all natural, in my opinion, for this to happen. But, we'll see the power to them, and, hopefully things can stabilize a little bit. Hopefully, going back to the rant that I had a few weeks ago in terms of these naysayers, these 100% like attack articles, the bias is strong, and something has to give. Something has to give in the industry that we are in, of reviewing, of talking about, of podcasting, about writing. There's a lot going on, and you saw a lot of that even this week with the Snyder Cut. It was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about that on Wednesday. But all of this is a much larger issue, and I don't want to get back into that rant, but it's for sure something that you as the consumer need to be aware of. Just be very careful about where you get your reviews from, and even when we talk, if we're your style of if you think that we are similar in terms of what we play, what we like, cool, listen to us. But you do you don't base stuff. Don't base your opinion off of what I say. Sometimes, to be 100% honest, I'll take stuff to the extreme just to get a crack out of the listeners or you guys when we're listening. You know,
for sure. Like we challenge ourselves to do things a little bit outside of the norm, right? Like maybe this week I buy some ultimate packs for FIFA. I don't know. Like
I know a guy.
There are times where you kind of got to say, well, is there something to this? Is there something that should be explored or understood a little bit better?
I know a guy.
Oh, yeah?
All right. So talking about the future, talking about the streaming, you know, just a decade ago, 10 to 15 years ago, 15 years ago, Netflix, you had to get it by mail. And then they started the online service, which a lot of people saw as, this is interesting. I'm not sure about this. But similar to Game Pass, you know, it's the evolution of where technology is going. We look back, you know, 30 years ago now, or 25 years ago, I should say, and we're looking at, you know, when iTunes started and the whole MP3 wave really started. So this is all natural. But taking a look at streaming specifically, the numbers are out, and the worldwide streaming subscriptions have exceeded 1 billion for the first time. So global streaming subscriptions have passed the 1 billion mark. There are now 1.1 billion subscriptions to the many streaming services available around the world. That is 14% of the world if you take the number that Google gives us of 7.67 billion people in this earth.
Amazing. Just amazing. Yep. There's actually a show that just showed up on Netflix called The Last Blockbuster.
Yes.
Kevin Smith is in it.
Yep.
And I started watching that. It's pretty interesting. I got to finish it. But yeah, it kind of, when you start thinking about this stuff, and it's just hilarious that it's on Netflix. And I'm like, wow, okay. So there actually are like 3 or 4 blockbusters that are still operating in the States.
Yeah.
So these communities are propping up the stores, and good for them. Good for them to keep on going in to rent their DVDs and whatnot. But it's amazing how much the world has changed. And you know, they're obviously going to be making the point that it wasn't Netflix that killed Blockbuster. Blockbuster basically did it to themselves.
Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix.
Yeah. I'm curious to know how deep that rabbit hole goes. I'm just basically at the start of it, but they've already said, you know, they went around and they said, what killed Blockbuster? And everybody said Netflix. But they said, I don't know about that. There's a story there. So looking forward to getting to the conclusion of that one. I think that might be necessary viewing for when we finally crack open on the streaming world. Yeah. When we do our deep dives.
There's lessons learned, right? If we take a look at the individual numbers and services, we're going to only name off the bigger services around the world. So Netflix announced that it now had more than 200 million. Disney Plus stated that it had hit the 100 million subscriber mark. AT&T confirmed that there are 61 million HBO or WB streaming services, whatever, because there's so many of them. So HBO Max, HBO Go, whatever the fuck you use in your world, in your country. NBC Peacock has reached up to 33 million signups, and that number's for sure going up now that the WWE network is involved. Not a lot, but it's going to go up regardless. So yeah, it's crazy to see like how streaming is here. Now, the major
then there's
difference,
like services like Prime, right? That are very in the background, but very much there.
Yeah. And Prime is a weird one because, like, I know we looked at this before, but it was hard to kind of gauge how many actual people are using Prime because it's tied to your Prime account, right? So anyone who gets same-day delivery gets access to Prime.
But we know that The Boys was competitive with Netflix on views.
Yes.
So that's a good indicator that they are, with certain content, competing at a high level.
Yep.
right?
And then Netflix
interesting.
will be releasing their, I guess, answer to The Boys in Jupiter's Legacy, which is an awesome, awesome comic book. Basically, it's a family of superheroes who kind of, it's the dark side of being a superhero with fame and whatnot. So I kind of like, it's similar to The Boys in that sense. But yeah, so that should be coming out on Netflix, I think this year. I could be wrong. I don't remember when. But it's a great comic book. Very good comic book.
Cowboy Bebop just wrapped too.
Yeah, I saw that.
Might be interesting live action Cowboy Bebop.
Possibly. Maybe.
Could be a flaming dog pile of shit.
Exactly. if most anime translations haven't gone well, so we'll see. Alice in whatever, that one was pretty good, but the other ones have not been good for the most part. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Alice in Borderlands, right?
Alice in Borderlands, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fucking freaky.
It was great. I loved it.
Space Sweepers, I'm telling you, that one worked for me. That worked for me.
Yep.
Alita Battle Angel, that was another one that was successful.
Oh yeah,
Jennifer Connelly. Yeah.
Alita
Apparently Disney are lighting up the sequels. That was Robert Rodriguez who's in the house with Mandalorian now.
Yep.
And they're talking about having him do some more stuff for Disney.
Yeah. Yeah. Super excited there.
Kinda
All
crazy.
right, so before we go, what did you think of Falcon and Winter Soldier? Remember, spoiler free.
Spoiler free. It was good. It was actiony. It was exactly what I thought it would be. I actually have a little more respect for WandaVision now. This sounds funny, but WandaVision was way more daring in their approach.
Yep. This is
This makes me
MCU.
appreciate it. Yeah.
This feels like the MCU. This is, you would have thought the Russo brothers were directing that first episode, right? Like it was straight out of, one of the Russo brothers movies. It's yeah. And it's not a bad thing, but it just felt like the MCU.
It's the same. It's where I expected. To be honest, if I was Disney and looking at the situation, I probably would have preferred to release Falcon and Winter Soldier before WandaVision. That sounds weird, but it feels like it would have played to the fan base because we're in post Endgame world. No spoilers, but we're, obviously the time frame and just how it seems to be, but I haven't seen the whole show. We got 6 episodes total for the run of this. So it's a little bit short, but it's going to be very actiony. And I'm looking forward to just having the experience of being able to watch an action show. But I found WandaVision was more exciting on its underbelly of the exploration of the MCU.
Yeah.
But we got 5 more episodes, so maybe Disney shocks me.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've hit everything out of the park. Like, honestly, when you look at Disney's production, and this is what they're releasing, is stuff like this, compared to Netflix throwing everything at every demographic all the time, good or bad, and seeing what sticks. Disney are just hitting home runs. It's like just stepping to the plate and just every ball is cracked out of the park with production and whatnot. It's not everybody's, flavor. I get that. But I'm just saying they invested very, very well from what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see when that doesn't work out. I felt like Raya and the Dragon. I'm halfway through that. Some weird stuff going on there. Don't know about some of the voices and the choices, but it's Disney. It's it's good. It's good for kids and family. So I think Falcon and Winter Soldier are going to be very good to Marvel fans.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see. We'll see what happens there, right? Like it's there's for sure a lot to explore there, and the shows are totally different. We're gonna touch on where they're different, but again, one of my favorite, and this is not in a good way, one of my favorite reviews that I've seen so far is someone complaining about Falcon and Winter Soldier, saying that it feels too much like a movie.
Yeah, but that's what we want. Like, it's just really great to get to know some of these secondary and tertiary characters. It really is, and to get us more invested in them. And I did like that the ending of Falcon and Winter Soldier, the little twist. So you know that we're in for a ride as far as what our expectations are for main characters and things like that in the MCU. So that is fun, right? Like they're testing the waters about the very unsure universe that we're picking up in post Endgame. So
and it just goes.
There are elements,
And again, this is spoiler free, but seeing what the blip has done to the world, it's really interesting to kind of that they're exploring that, because we've seen this a little bit in WandaVision, but it's really cool seeing it, like, from this human point of view, a non-magical point of view, So we're gonna touch on that on Wednesday. I'm not even gonna ask you yet what you thought of the Snyder Cut. We'll touch on that fully on Wednesday. But
I'm still forming an opinion on that. I don't know how I feel. I really don't.
I have feelings about that. I have a lot of feelings about that.
I have feelings about exactly what we've talked about what it's done to our geek universe.
Yeah, well.
I definitely have opinions about that. But as for the actual content of what I saw, and interestingly, because I saw it before it came out, right? Like, I know that we got access to it.
Yep.
And it was interesting watching it roll out in real time.
Yeah.
The people's reactions. Twitter was gold on Thursday.
Yeah.
For me. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I went through that stage. I know that feeling. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the part you just want to die because it's 4 hours. Yeah, I know, right? My back hurt here too. But all joking aside, it's a bloody interesting thing that's happened. Bloody interesting. Yeah, I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's interesting.
It's interesting to say the least. So we're going to touch on that on Wednesday. I know we're really building up this episode for Wednesday, but, I just think that I wanted to kind of dedicate some time to the geekdom of things. So that's on Wednesday. So
hey,
Phil,
I even went and watched Justice League, the original. I had to go back and be like, all right, like, am I misremembering how much extra is in this?
No. You're not.
And I'll have thoughts on that. Believe me, ladies and gentlemen, I will have thoughts on that.
Yep. So let us know what you think, listeners. Did you like Falcon and Winter Soldier? Did you like the Snyder Cut? Let us know. We'll be talking about it on Wednesday. And if you let us know before Tuesday, when we record at night, hint, hint, Phil, I will try to get some of the comments on the show. So just let us know what you thought about that. And Phil, tell our listeners where they can send that feedback to.
Yeah, if you're looking to get a hold of us so we have some of your reactions for our show, you can find us at www.itscanonpodcast.com, or you can track us down probably easier and quicker on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at It's Canon Podcast. You can email us at show@itscanonpodcast.com. You can subscribe via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere you find podcasts, you're going to find the It's Canon Podcast show. And when you're there, please be so kind as to subscribe and leave a rate and review if possible on the platform, because it's greatly appreciated to push us up in the algorithms of life.
Yep. Thank you to everyone who has listened and left a review, rated us, everyone who has subscribed. It really helps us in our bottom line and our goals for 2021, which we still have many that we want to reach. So we are the It's Canon Podcast, the podcast where we talk about all things pop culture, the podcast where we talk about all things books, video games, comic books, movies, TV shows, Roblox, Stadia, streaming services, Falcon Window Soldier, Snyder Cut, anything and everything. And Phil, do you know what the best part of it all is?
I'm hearing that in Zack Snyder's universe, it's all in canon.
Oh, God. That's another thing we're going to have to talk about. Anyways, he's Phil. I'm Boris. It's the It's Canon podcast. Good night.